welcome to Gen Z Solutions, a new production of Different I Am, which is an organization of Generation Z students. Here today, we are talking to leaders from Generation Z about their perceptions, solutions, and insights into today's problems. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Asia Fitzgerald, and I'm the Vice President of Different I Am.
My name is Josiah Hanson, and I am the president and co-founder of Different I Am. So essentially what Different I Am is a group of Generation Z and young adults who want to accomplish and solve problems in our community. And we're sort of like a mastermind group, and we come together and we meet and we have different ideas and we have creative ideas to come up with, like we said, solutions.
Okay, awesome. And also one of the things that we're doing is these two are college students, and we do have some high school students as well as part of Different I Am. And one part of the vision is to actually be mentors and leaders to high school students. And we thought an appropriate topic was, transitioning into college. And so our topic today is expectations versus reality, college edition. So my first question is, okay, now that Josiah is a freshman at University of Delaware, and Asia is a junior at University of Delaware, we're going to talk about from their two different perspectives, because they're two different types of college students, and we want to talk to them both about from their perspective of what you can expect when you go to college. So let's start off with Josiah. Josiah, why don't we talk about, you're the type of college student that lives on campus and you're a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about a little bit about your experience going into your first year of college.
So when I went into my first year of college, I graduated high school, a little bit anxious about what to expect. So luckily for me, I was able to do a summer program that sort of got me acclimated to the culture of University of Delaware and got me sort of familiar with what to expect during the fall. So as the fall came around, I was a little bit more comfortable on campus than a lot of my other peers. So I knew more people, I knew where things were, so it almost felt like I had been there for a little bit longer than the rest of the students there, or at least the rest of the freshmen there. So when I came into college, I was nervous about meeting professors, meeting new people. You hear a lot of stuff about college, and you hear a lot of stuff about, professors are going to be on you, and there's going to be a lot of work, and you're going to have to study a lot. And so even just hearing all that kind of stuff, you're always a little nervous, especially going into a new environment. So it was new, but I have been enjoying myself. It is a change of pace, an increase of responsibility and personal accountability as well. But it's nothing that's unmanageable.
Okay, awesome. Now Asia has a slightly different experience. She's a junior, but it is her first year at University of Delaware because she transferred from Del Tech, Delaware Technical Community College. And so why don't you tell us like your transition to Del Tech and then from Del Tech to UD, kind of give us an idea of how that was.
Okay, so transitioning from high school to Del Tech, it was easier than I thought it was going to be. Since Del Tech has a lot of people who are parents, they're working outside of school, sometimes they have siblings to take care of, they have a lot of outside life responsibilities. Del Tech is good with having a lot of options to be able to go to school while also taking care of your responsibilities. So that was good for me because I ended up taking a job at a grocery store, and I was able to go to school on some days of the week and then go to work on other days of the week, save up money, and it would help me buy supplies for school and pay for the fees. And then transitioning from Del Tech to University of Delaware, it's been pretty different because I feel like the way that things are set up at the university is that it's more catered towards people who are living on or near the campus, so the commute hasn't been as smooth as it was with Del Tech. And you know, getting my transfer credits over and getting them to actually apply for things into my program, that's been it's been a struggle, and I still have work to do. I have to get some syllabi from some of my classes. So it's definitely a different experience for me, other than being a freshman as a transfer student, but I still feel like a first year student because I'm unfamiliar with the location. I still have to figure out my way around things, and getting adjusted to different teachers' teaching styles. I found that at University of Delaware, a lot of it is about figuring out how your professor wants things done, and it may not be the best way, but you're basically doing work to fit into what the professor thinks you should do. So that is a little difference that I have noticed.
Okay, good. And as you guys know, I'm also an adjunct professor at Wilmington University, and both these two go to University of Delaware, and which is our competitor. Not just kidding. No, but Wilmington University is a different type of school. It's more of a commuter's university, and you know, and you talked about you were commuting to school at UD, and it's catered more to people living on campus because Wilmington University it has a campus, but it doesn't have any living facilities. Students have to commute, and you know, so from your perspective as a on campus, you know, you're doing the full thing, you know, on campus. Tell us a little bit about your experience as a on campus student.
So on campus, it really opens you up to an interesting experience because you are surrounded by a lot of teenagers, a lot of kids your age. So, you know, you do have to make, well, all the decisions that you make are basically decisions that you make independently, and you don't really have to consult with anybody else. So you really have to take, like I said, responsibility for your own actions, because even though, you know, you might have a personal life or personal situations going on, you know, there's still work that needs to be done within the classes, and there's still assignments that need to be turned in on time. But living on campus also opens you up to a plethora of resources that might not be available otherwise. And some of those just might be having people in your class that also live on campus. So it's easier to link up and review classwork or just link up and hang out and get to know new people. So living on campus, you know, it really falls down to where you place your priorities. If you place your priorities on more of a social aspect, you might have a tough time dealing with some of the academic work. But if you have a good balance, it's gonna be a good time.
Okay. What do you think to that?
Yeah, it's definitely important to find balance between your social and your scholastic focuses, and also having time to rest, time for yourself. So it can be hard to kind of make time to relax, but it's definitely important to do that so you don't become burned out in other areas.
And that's a really good point as well, because, you know, when you live on campus, you're surrounded by people almost 24/7. I mean, your only free time is probably in the shower. So you really have to. You're really dealing with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, and you're dealing with a lot of social interactions. And for some people, that can be very draining. So you do have to know what works for you. If you know, there are options. If it's just going to the gym for an hour and a half a day just to reset and refocus, or reading a favorite book, or listen to a podcast, listen to some music. Those are all things that you have to do to make sure that you keep yourself sane, because the social life or the amount of people that you're dealing with isn't for everybody. And sometimes it can be overwhelming and cause a lot of anxiety for students that aren't accustomed to such a large population around them. So it is a lot of it does take discipline. It does take discipline to know what works for you, and how to make time to care for yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like, you have to really grow up pretty fast when because you're going to be on your own, basically. You're going to be on your own, and that's a lot. That is a lot when you're coming, from a more structured environment in high school to a environment that, you have to manage everything. And you talk about time management, and part of it is taking care of yourself.
Very big.
So everybody has to come up with a plan or a strategy to do that. So now you're talking about time management, social life, but what about the classes, the academics? Is it hard or is it easy? What do you think? Y'all talk about it.
It's definitely different from high school. That's the biggest difference that was for me. Besides the structure of high school, going into college, I realized that more of the work that you're going to be doing is outside of class, whereas in high school, you're going to be doing a lot of work in class. So if I could break it up into a percentage, you could probably expect maybe 75 to 85% of the material you're going to be learning on your own. You're going to be working through by yourself, unless you take advantage of some of the resources like tutoring on campus. But most of the material you're going to have to go through on your own, and the lectures and classes are more of a formality to sort of go over some of the textbook readings and some of the assignments that you were instructed to do. So it is very easy to get left behind, because you don't have, when you're in a lecture class of 250 people and that professor has 3 lectures, he's dealing with almost 800, about 700 people. So that's a lot of people that he has to keep track of, and you're just a number at that point, unless you go to office hours. But even still, it's easy to just get washed deck and just be another name on the list. So you really do have to take care and pay attention to your grades, and pay attention to how you're doing your classes, and make sure that you're keeping up with all your work, because it is very different. There's nobody that's going to be holding your hand throughout the process.
So with my experience, I definitely do see where a lot of the learning is done outside of the classroom, and most of the in-class time is review. And it also depends on the type of class too, because I'm an art major right now, and I still have to declare visual communications as my major. But with my art focused classes, we actually do work in class, but it's usually practice work, and it has very little weight in our grade. And there's a lot of demonstration in the classroom, and we listen to a lot of lectures, and we're basically consuming a lot of the information rather than doing a whole lot of hands-on work. So the classes are longer, and there is a bit of time to practice and work on things, but when we're working on things in class, it's not a lot of work that would be graded in a weight that would really have much effect on your overall grade in the class.
So you both agree that it's a lot of it's teaching yourself, learning on your own. Okay, that's good for people to know. And then one thing I just like, because I know probably some of the students that are listening to this high school, we don't want to scare them because it's just that you have to decide what is best for you. Like you said, a lot of University of Delaware is a large university. And Wilmington University is big, but it's smaller classes. We have, like when I teach, the most I have is 30 students. Whereas you're saying there's 250 students in your class. You see what I'm saying? So how
Yeah.
about you?
For me, it's different. I definitely see, like in my math class, I have a statistics class, and there's probably a little over 100 people in that class. But in my other classes, we don't have any more than about 15 people because the classrooms are small, and the purpose of the art classes is for the teacher to talk to the students one-on-one and all together, so everyone is getting the chance to improve their skills individually and look at things that everyone might be having trouble on. So there is a variation depending on what you're studying in college.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It depends on what your major is. Okay, we're going to take a break right now. I have so many more questions to ask you because this is really interesting. And I think a lot of high school students will get a lot out of it. So they'll know what to expect, the reality of it all.